Welcome to Emerging Franchise Brands, the podcast that introduces you to the visionary founders of America's fastest growing franchise opportunities. We'll also hear from industry pros as they share what it really takes to achieve the elusive milestone of 100 plus locations. I am your host, Frank Fiume, founder of I9 Sports, and my 20-year journey from inception to acquisition has given me a unique perspective on how to succeed in franchising. Join me as we welcome today's guest. Well, hello everyone and welcome to the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. On today's show, I have my guest co-host again, Drew Alfano. Drew, what is going on, man?
What's going on, Frank? Thank you so much for having me.
Great to have you back, Drew. All right, Drew, let's start by giving you give the audience a little bit of background on yourself.
Sure. So I'm Director of Business Development for Retro Fitness. Been in franchising for about 6 years. Certified franchise exec with the IFA, and I run a young professionals networking group for franchising called Fire 35. So excited to be part of the conversation.
Before we bring on today's guest, I want to share the three things we're going to learn today. First, we're going to learn how the name of the company came to her and the significance of it. We're also going to hear about one of the most common struggles that internally founders deal with every day. And finally, we're going to hear about how she was able to adapt with the economic challenges of tariffs. I love it. We have a great guest today. We have the founder and CEO of Aldea Home Baby, Johanna Bialkin. Johanna, how are you today?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to hear all about Aldea Home Baby. So give us a little background here. Johanna, how did you get started?
Aldea Home Baby was started 20 years ago when I moved from Manhattan and decided I'm going to start a store. How hard could it be? It was very hard. So I moved from Manhattan. I had no retail experience, and I thought I would like to replicate a concept in New York called the apartment, where you would redo every room of the apartment from top to bottom. And so I started Aldea as a 1,200 square foot concept that you would have every room of the apartment, from your office to your bedroom to your living room to your baby's room to all of your rooms, thinking I'd love to sell home furniture. I'd love to sell, create community, create connection. From the time I started, people were like, I love your baby stuff. And I was like, baby stuff? I'm not into baby stuff. And as we've grown over the years, that's become our specialty. And it's the place where we can really make an impact. And it's the thing that people need from us. And so we're so excited to be able to serve our community.
I love it. You're not totally an accidental entrepreneur, but certainly the specialty was an accident by all means.
I feel like I am an accidental entrepreneur because when I first started, I started Aldea with the concept of just having a store to meet people, create community, have parties, meet. I came to a new city from New York to create a community for myself in California. I just got married. I didn't know anyone. And so I just thought, open a store and I'll meet people and it'll be great and I can have parties. But in the time that we've been alive, that it's become this business, and it's become this business that people come into every day and they say, I wish I had this where I am.
Johanna, you made entrepreneurship sound way too easy to start this show.
It is not easy, but as a franchise, it's easier, obviously.
Well, and you're just starting out in franchising, so we have a whole lot to unpack. First of all, we should let the audience know that today you've got 3 New Yorkers on this podcast, right? We've got a Manhattan, Queens, and Long Island connection here. So for whatever it's worth, this could be a very interesting podcast for some folks.
My sister's having a baby next week, so I might have to check out Aldea for her.
Awesome. Congratulations. That sounds great.
I'm happy to hear it, and I'd love to connect with you after.
Awesome. So, Johanna, what were you doing before this? What were you doing before Aldea when you opened your first location?
I worked in advertising at a big ad agency called Mesner, Vittier, Berger, McNamee, Schmetterer, and I did online. So when Aldea first started, I opened Aldea as an online store and in-store in 2005.
Okay. All right. Where's the name come from?
So when I went on my honeymoon in Spain thinking I'm going to open a store, I was thinking of names. I was looking in the dictionary, wanted to have an A name because I wanted to come up first, when people were looking in their telephone book. And
very smart.
And I dreamed the name. So when I went to bed one night and somebody said, Aldea, write it down. Aldea. And I looked up the meaning, and it means small village and community. And I said, this is for me. This is what really resonates for me. And so I said, that's the name of my store.
Wow, that's incredible. So you've been around for 20 years, but you're brand new to franchising, right? Like you have got what, a couple of company-owned locations. You've got franchises that are just starting out in the West Coast here. Tell me, why did you decide to ultimately franchise your business?
When I first decided to expand, I wanted to do chain. I wanted to have everything corporately owned. So 7 years ago, I opened Culver City in Southern California, thinking, okay, my first location will be in the same state, but a little bit farther away from us so we can test it. I realized while I was doing that it was so hard to run a location from outside. And I realized that I needed somebody, the owner, to be in that space all the time, and it couldn't be me. It had to be somebody who was specifically there to support the store, because brick and mortar stores especially need somebody who's there and working on them all the time. And that's what franchise are. And as soon as I started researching franchises, I was like, oh, this is such a great thing, because the business can be still small, but expand. And it can be, I can give them direction, and I can give them my experiences, and I can teach them all the things that I've learned in my past 20 years to make it easier for them.
Sure. Well, and one thing you're going to come to, of course, to find out in franchising is that supporting franchisees is not easy. Like your role changes overnight, right? You're no longer running a retail store. Your job now, of course, is to support franchisees and help them be successful. I mean, Drew's got the background in Fran Dev and talks to potential franchisees all the time. And Drew, what would you say to that for like a new franchisor or founder that's now wanting to attract people to be part of a brand? How does that dynamic change? And I'm talking specifically for Johanna.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is your baby, and you've had so much input and passion behind the project. And when you have franchisees coming on, a lot of trust comes into place, because you got to trust them with your brand, your vision, your operations. I know you care so much about partnering with the customers and everything like that. And even store to store, making sure that your vision stays the way you want it to be. So it's definitely important to have the right partners that culturally are aligned with the vision and core values that you put out, because those are the people that are going to be waving your flag, especially as you grow, and you won't be able to see them all at the same time. So definitely important from that aspect. I know you have a bunch of different stores now. Talk to me about how you carry the design and if things differ from state to state of where your stores are, because I know the design is so important for you.
So the concept for Aldea is 80-20. 80% of the offerings will be the same, 20% will be different. When we first opened in Seattle, we looked around. We're like, all right, there's a lot of boats here. There's a lot of trees here. There's a lot of nature here. And there's a lot of small businesses that need representation. Aldea has 700 small businesses that we represent. So we put out a calling for a local muralist, and every single Aldea location has a mural from the area. So we had a great muralist who created a mural in Seattle, and we have a wall where people can take selfies against that mural. We're on the art walk in Seattle because that mural is in the space. And so, and then every single, we put the call out as soon as we know we're going to be in a location to find small brands that are not on Amazon that we can feature in that location. So we have in Seattle, we have Sweet Pea, which is a wonderful onesie company. We have one company that just makes Seattle puzzles. We have these great companies that just, every single one of them adds a little bit to the mix. And then in the companies that we carry, say we have Nuna car seats and strollers, because there's so much rain, we have rain covers now for everything that we carry. So each one of them will have their own specialty of the things that they carry. And obviously, the cutest rain jackets and boots for babies.
Well, Johanna, tell me, if you've been doing this for 20 years, you've navigated everything you could possibly face, right? And as a business owner, how have you been able to compete and win against the big box retailers? I could see that as being somebody would think that's a challenge in starting one of your franchises.
So actually, it makes it much easier to start in our franchises because we're small and maneuverable. Especially with these tariffs going on, it's been really hard for our little companies. So, if we're like, there's a tariff in China, maybe we're going to rotate to, Thailand. Maybe we're going to rotate to Germany. And also, we only buy a little bit of each of those things. So if it's looking like we're not going to get stuff in, we can change to something else very easily. And because we're buying a little bit more in bulk now, we're able to rotate quickly, and also we have so many knowledgeable people in that industry that can advise us on, like, we have such great relationships because we've been doing it for 20 years.
And how big is one of your stores? Or what's the average size of a store?
3,500 to 5,000 square feet.
That's pretty good size. And what's the investment and what's the investment range now to open a franchise?
So we're doing turnkey franchises now because that's one of our main things that we're doing is 450,000 to like half a million. So you're carrying, so like if you see a crib and a dresser and a glider on the floor, generally that crib, dresser, and glider will be in stock for the customer to walk away with. So one of the bigger investments is to be able to get your initial inventory paid for. So as soon as somebody walks into one of these franchises, they're kind of ready to go, and they just have to do reorders. And then, we guide them through the shows. We also have 10 to 20 reps who are there just to ensure that franchisees know what they're doing.
All right, Johanna, I got to ask you, start with an icebreaker question. I'd love to know what's something about you most people don't know that you'd love to share.
I love to do Cuban salsa.
You do? Okay. How did you learn how to do that?
Dancing is my passion, and I wanted to learn because I, run 3 stores and I'm a leader in many of my things I do. I wanted to learn how to do partner dancing. And I also have terrible stage fright. So I decided, I saw a dance class and I'm like, I'm going to sign up for a workshop where I'm going to do a reggaeton workshop, not knowing anything about Latin dance. And I just threw myself in and I learned all about dance and I fell in love with it. And it is the thing that it brings me the most joy, is like going to dance class. And I know I need to go when I'm micromanaging my staff, they go, is there perhaps a dance class?
That is great. Drew, any Cuban salsa dancing for you?
Not for me. No, I do, nothing really. I'm not much of a dancer. If I could do the worm, I would do the worm, but I haven't.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's great. Well, Johanna, that's great to know about you, and your staff cares for you so much that they can tell when you're stressed out and that they're like, Johanna, let's go. Maybe you should get away from us and leave us alone a little bit. It's a very loving way of saying that you're getting on their nerves.
Yeah. Beat it, lady.
Yeah, absolutely. Johanna, we were talking about, of course, earlier about getting into business, and you've been doing this 20 years. Tell me, though, now that you're really kind of getting to franchising, I'd love to kind of get into your mind of what's maybe something that you struggle internally now as a founder at this stage of the game.
So I've learned that I'm not a great documenter, and I'm not really good at writing procedures and documenting the things. I have a lot of great ideas and I jump from thing to thing, and I'm not very good at execution. So I sometimes need to think of an idea, fully execute it, have somebody help me put it in place. And I've realized that I'm really the creative director more for Aldea, as opposed to I struggle with being constant. I'm very up and down. Like if I'm overwhelmed, I'm not very good at leading my staff, and I'm not very good at giving inspiration, which is the thing that I find myself having to do a lot. And especially as a new franchise, my staff we're understaffed. We're trying to deal with tariffs. We're trying to deal with customers. We're in a live store. Every single one of the stores is open 7 days a week, 8 hours a day. We find ourselves in a place where we just really, as we're growing, the growth of Aldea is putting some pressure on the business.
Of course. I love your honesty and so transparent. And I have so much in common with you on that. One of the biggest challenges I think we have as founders when we're starting a business is that we have to be the everything. So we do it all. You did the systems and processes. I know you did it, but is it safe to say like you don't feel like you're in state, you're not in flow when you're doing things that you're not good at? Like you grind, it takes you 10 times harder to do the things that you're not good at, but you still do them. But that's as a founder we need to do. Like we need to make sure that we're being our best for our brand and making sure we're hiring for, I always said hiring for my weakness. Like that was the best thing for me to ever do for my company, was to realize I'm not doing the best thing for, no pun intended, for the baby, for the business. It needed something more than me. Some founders have a hard time with that, but it sounds like you don't. Like you recognize that.
It's taken many years to realize that, and to rely on others. And I think by store 3, I was like, oh gosh, I can't be everywhere all the time. And I have to learn to have others help me. Now I have, a COO and a CMO, and the people who help me, the finances completely always throw me for a loop. And I'm
Right.
always trying to figure out how to pay for this or do this. But it's really been great to have other people passionately involved in the business as me now, who are really looking at it as their business as well.
Sure. The other huge benefit you have is you're sharing this out, that how you can serve your new franchisees that are going to be coming onto this growing brand, is sharing your story, because you're really, they're a microcosm of what you experience. You're creating this culture, but they are you. Every one of these people are going to be franchisees or founders of their own individual franchise. They're going to be experiencing probably and most likely what you experience, because they want to be everything and they can't afford to hire all these people. But if they can understand, if they hear your story, it resonates so much. You become even that much more of a likable founder, and they want to be part of that brand. I don't see it as a weakness. That's actually a strength, that you see that in yourself. And Drew, what are your thoughts on that? Is coming from the guy who's in like Fran Dev for a company, and you're responsible for, bringing people on.
Yeah, I mean, it's personal for franchisees, and it's personal for you as a founder, and it's really a true partnership for them to come on, and it's your vision, and it's their opportunity to have a path to success. And that's the beautiful part about franchising, is it's the proven business model with brand and systems. And when you have something as great as Aldea to replicate, they get to be part of it, which is definitely special for you as a founder. Johanna, I would love to learn more and hear your thoughts. I know you said you have 3 turnkey stores in development. What does that turnkey include?
So when I first started franchising, a little bit after about a year into it, I found somebody who wanted to help us. Actually, a franchisor who had his own franchise and sold it, and decided he wanted to invest in a small business. So he's our financier to create these turnkey franchises. So he wants to help us build 3, sell 3, build 3, sell 3. So the great thing about that is because we can't really, it's hard for us to guide somebody immediately how to create new businesses that are like our own. I can create these businesses so that you can walk in as a franchisee and you have everything ready for you. You have a staff that's trained. You have a store that's stocked. You have vendors. All your accounts are set up. I mean, it's really a wonderful opportunity for us to learn and grow, and for the franchise person to really not feel completely overwhelmed, because I've done so much for them.
Definitely sounds like a nice opportunity too, just getting a lot of those extra things off their shoulders so they can start strong.
Yeah, Drew, we don't hear from emerging founders, and obviously, Johanna's been at this a long time, but your typical new franchisor doesn't speak this way.
I agree. Some of these tools that you put into place with the turnkey solution, it's great for the reasons that you were just saying, being able to control the brand and control the narrative of your brand as you go into new markets and new trade areas. It's important, especially as you grow, because that brand strength is really important. Especially, I know you have e-commerce going on, and just having that synergy across all of your different units and platforms. So great to be able to have a strong brand.
I feel really so grateful for where I am today because I have I have a really strong lawyer and and he helped me find a really great person to invest in the business and invest in our growth. And the person who helped us give us money to open the Turnkey came and worked the floor with me on the first day that business was open. So passionately involved in the business, so interested in franchise that they've given me a love for doing franchise. Like, I love the business of it. And I think it's such an interesting business. And they feel so passionately about it that they've really infused this belief in me that this is really a great opportunity for people. It's great for me. It's great for the franchise person.
And Johanna, tell us about your expansion plans. You've got some extravagant plans, sounds like, over the next 5 to 7 years on how many units you'd like to have.
So I don't want Aldea to be everywhere. I have key markets. I have 46 key markets that I have in mind. Obviously, we serve mid to high for baby services. You know, we can't serve really everyone because we can't help everyone. You know, we have some of our businesses that we have are going to be a little bit more expensive. They're going to be organic. They're going to be made, you know, some of them are made in the US, some of them are made locally. So we're looking for specific markets. We're not looking to have hundreds and hundreds of franchises. We're looking to have 46 in the US, around 46 to 50 in the US. And then we'd like to franchise internationally because we get a lot of our furniture from France. We get some of our fabric from Portugal. So we want, in the end, to make our own product exclusively for the brand. We're actually developing at the same time a company called Little White Squirrel, which is my last name in Russian. And that company is going to be a B Corp. And we're going to work on that company, creating our own stuff. And we're going to give back to the communities that we serve.
Which is exactly how you started. This was all about community, right? That was your whole basis for starting this.
Yep.
Well, Johanna, let's take advantage of the fact that we've got Drew here with a Fran Dev background. Drew, she wants to open, 46 to 50 locations. What do you think? What is it going to take?
Well, it's going to take the right partners. There's a lot of franchisees that are out there, and there's a lot of people with capital out there. All respect to money. A lot of people say money is easier to find than the right partners. So especially with something as precious as your brand that you want to protect, finding the right partners is definitely important.
We've had a couple of our customers come through who have been interested in Aldea as a business. And a couple of times already we've said no, just because we really want to find the right person who's really going to be able to give it 110%.
Besides, making sure they're passionate, is there some specific skill set that you're looking for in a franchisee?
I do want somebody who knows a little bit about retail, and I would really like people who have some knowledge, obviously, of leadership, and the baby industry would be a plus. Somebody who maybe came from that. I feel like we're not looking for somebody who's maybe deciding between a food franchise and something like us. We're looking for somebody who's specifically looking to create community connection and serve. They're looking to be in this industry. It has to be something that they're interested in.
Yeah. It seems like every brand I've ever talked to, there's always, from the founder's perspective, they're always faced with people that have like a misconception of people think they know what this brand really is or how to succeed at this. What would you say for Aldea? What's something that's a misconception that you have to continue to share with people that they have a better understanding of what the business is about?
So I think first off, a lot of people think I have to have a child or I have to be interested in children. I don't think necessarily that's the case. I myself I don't have kids. I have fur babies. I just has to be for a love of community and connection and wanting to serve your public. And you can't be getting into it thinking, I hope that these are going to make a lot of money, but you cannot be getting into it thinking that this is going to be like, I'm going to be, you have to be able to last 2 to 4 years. Retail always takes time to get going in your community. Obviously, we have a great PR team. We have a great marketing person, but retail always takes time and your community always takes time. So I think I also had a couple of people who had kids and think, oh, I'm going to have a baby and open a baby store. I think that's very challenging.
Yes, that's like what the old saying is. I started the business so I could have more time for myself. As a big, if that's not a misnomer, I don't know what
Right.
is, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think you have to be in it. We want people who are owner operators. We don't want people who are just going to be out from the outside.
Yeah, and it makes sense that you'd like somebody to have a retail background because retail is a different animal, right?
And I also feel like brick and mortar has had a hard road since the pandemic. It's really
Mhm.
been challenging for stores, small and large, to be able to be out there to serve their community. I don't want to put it on Amazon, but Amazon has made people feel that they can get everything immediately within a day. And that's just not the case. Sometimes it takes time to get things, and especially for handmade items or, car seats or strollers or gliders or cribs, things that are made with people who actually make them by hand, by craftsmen, by people who care about what they're doing or trying to be sustainable. It takes a little longer. So it just sometimes I think that's a misconception that people have, that it's going to be so
Sure.
easy.
Johanna, I'm kind of noticing though, if you in the market, and maybe this is just, my perception, but I feel like with the specialty stores, everything has kind of come full circle post COVID that people do want to get out and shop. Yeah, of course we use Amazon more than ever, but when it comes to a specialty item, people do want to touch it and see it, and they still want to go into those kind of stores. None of us love going into the big box retailers. That's why Amazon does so well, right? But for something that's really a specialty, especially for a baby, we really want to see it. And if it's for a gift, we want to be part of it, and we want to pick something out other than just seeing how many stars it got on Amazon.
Right. And so that's why so Aldea is 80% baby and 20% home. So we have a kitchen, bar, and spa selection for people. So it's not only about baby stuff, because baby stuff comes from your home. So it's a little bit like a really curated IKEA of like all of their things here. And people are always like, a bar in a baby store, and we always say bar makes baby and baby makes bar. Like it's like circle. We call it our circle of life. But car seats and strollers, especially, it's like driving a car. You really have to test it. You really have to see the weight of it, how it folds, how it feels. Because remember, you're going to have a little baby coming into your home, and the only thing you want to do is care for it and make sure it has all the things you need. You don't want to be like dealing with this super heavy thing that's going to that you're just like cursing at it because you can't get it to open. You can't put it in your car. You can't get it up your stairs. So you have to know how these things work, and you have to have somebody who can advise you on the right one that you need.
Drew is getting a whole lesson here right now on the future.
I know. It's just very helpful for me one day. Joanna, how do you determine the product mix that goes into your stores? This is hot right now, or strollers are really hot, or a new thing that's on the up and up. How do you determine your mix?
So we do training once a week. We're on a lot of different listservs. I go to probably 10 shows in the year for baby, home, and women. So we are always looking what's out there. We also have all these people coming and trying to sell us products, but mostly our assortment comes from our customers who said, I love this brand. It's the best. I've been looking for it everywhere. I can't find it anywhere. You should carry it. So
Interesting.
over the 20 years, it's come from our customers, and it's come from our customer base. And they've said, please go find, Monty Design, which is a line of gliders from Canada. We started carrying them 20 years ago. They're 20 years old, and so are we. Somebody said, I found this new line. I think they're amazing. They should be your partner. And to this day, they're our partner.
That's amazing. Johanna, you've just given a lesson to so many entrepreneurs that are listening to this or watching the podcast. The lesson is, don't think you're smarter than your customer, right? That you're not only listening to them, but you're actually taking action. And as a customer, I feel even more connected to that brand because they took an interest in it. And you have now the opportunity to multiply that so many times over with your franchise system. And Drew, I'm sure you would agree, being in franchising, that the big challenge now Johanna is going to have as she franchises, that we have to make sure now the customers at each franchise location are being listened to. And that communication is now coming back to the corporate office in a very organized fashion so that you guys can grow and bring on an even better product, but it gives you the opportunity to really have your ear to the community.
But also you have to have a passion for an interest in the product. So if you are selling car seats and strollers, have to have knowledge. There was a law that just came out June 30th on car seat impact, like an impact testing thing for a car seat. Basically, all new car seats that are sold going forward from June 30th have to sit in a certain regulation. Every single one of those things I have to know about. My staff has to know about. And we have we have these great reps who train us, but we also just have to learn about it. I have one person in my staff, and he worked for me maybe 6 or 7 years ago. He took another job because it was more, aligned with his development. He came back because he missed the car seat and stroller game so much, and he missed talking to people about like car seats and strollers. And he doesn't do it for money. He does it because he loves to talk to them about these products because he's so passionately involved in it. And the thing that we're finding as we expand, there's people in each area that can't find stores to work in because this is their interest. So they're coming from places like Bye Bye Baby, Toys R Us, other places that have closed, and they can't find a place where they can do this. So we actually have people coming to us as opposed to us going to them to find staff.
That's amazing. Johanna, in so many ways, you have defied these other businesses that couldn't make it and are succeeding. And that's just incredible. And now you're off to this whole new journey with franchising this concept. What would you say now? Why is now a great time for people to join your franchise system?
You know what? I like to say that we like serve the good. We're a franchise for good, and not that saying the other ones are not, but we're serving 700 small business owners. So we're really supporting, and their stories are our stories. They're our partners, and they're getting a possibility to get to all these stores too. And also, I have people, we have people coming in from Colorado who go on their baby moon to San Francisco because there's no place for them to see these things. And so it's a great opportunity if you want to get out of the corporate world, if you want to have your own business and you want to make an impact. I just think it's such a good time now. And also people are like, oh, products. It's such an interesting time for trade. I don't know. The tariffs have opened a different door. People say that they're challenging. They are challenging, but it's really also an interesting time of trade. It's interesting to see partnerships of, now we're getting all these great toys from Germany. We're getting certain people are coming out of the woodwork that didn't have an opportunity for. We have a stroller company that is USA made that nobody really looked at before, but because their products didn't go up, they're selling their product. They have a tremendous opportunity to market to the consumer. So we can have people who are looking at those companies a little bit more than others. So it's really, I find it like such a fascinating time. And actually we, in a time of mix up, it's like time for us to like be able to come out strong and lead the market and be the spokesperson like in what's going on, baby.
Johanna, I know you are also known at Aldea for just being very eco-conscious and eco-friendly, right?
We are. So we ask whenever anybody comes and says, I would like to be one of your brands. I say, where is it made? Who makes it? And how is it made? And that's one of our things you were asking about our products. If we hear that customer service isn't good from that company, if there's been any recalls, we get rid of them. Because the baby, you have to be so clear. So I would say it's almost more interesting the things that we don't carry as opposed to the things we've carried. We've carried almost everything out there, and we found the best ones that really are there to serve you as well as us. If you have a problem with your stroller, we want you to be able to contact them, and they're going to come immediately and replace it. So I don't know. I think it's a wonderful time. It's a great time to do something, the world is changing, and it's great time to do something new.
That's great. Johanna, you're such an inspiration to so many people and for entrepreneurs alike, because it's so easy to be pessimistic and tell people all the reasons why their business won't work. Instead, what you've shared throughout this episode are all the reasons how to make something work in what could be a very difficult time period. And I congratulate you, and I think you're going to do great things in franchising. I think you have what it takes. Drew, what do you think? Does Johanna have what it takes to blow this thing up, or what?
I sure think so. The passion is there, and the franchising world is an amazing world, and you're going to continue to meet amazing people. I know you have already, so I'm excited to see all that you accomplish, and congrats on all the success you've already had.
Thank you so much, you guys, for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you, Johanna. One last thing before I let you go. If someone was interested in learning more about opening an Aldea Home and Baby, where would they go?
AldeaFranchise.com, AldeaHomeFranchise.com, and welcome to reach out on email to Johanna@AldeaHome.
All right, sounds great. Guys, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it, Johanna. I wish you all the continued success. And Drew, thanks again for being our guest co-host. I appreciate you being on with me again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fiume, or Emerging Franchise Group, LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.